What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka UniqueMazique, the hardest working man in sports and gaming, and I am here again with my guy Nelson Blake II. What's going on, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Did you see Jimmy Butler last night? Anyway, I don't want to get ahead of myself,
Is
but
that what we're doing?
I just saw, every time he made a clutch basket, I was like, Mazique is just enjoying this basketball game right now. How are you?
But I don't want to get too crazy or anything, but I do have to ask you. I mean, like, while you're saying that you're saying like they didn't win.
Oh, they got robbed.
Well, they didn't win. So
They
I'm
got
I'm just
robbed.
saying. At any rate,
And Joel Embiid couldn't hit a shot for 3.5 quarters, but it is
well,
what it is.
it's probably Jimmy's fault. But anyway, let's
I don't
jump
know
in.
what haters sound like, but they might sound like that if I was to use
I'm
my
just a
imagination.
lot of times haters are what they are because they call out the truth. But it is what it is. Let's go. All right. So I appreciate everybody here again, and we jumped right into some absolute ignorance from the beginning. And but it's okay. This is At Me Bro. This is the At Me Bro show. As a matter of fact, this is the 14th episode of At Me Bro. So you guys know what it is. If you're digging it, subscribe, like, share the video. We love it if you do that. But we want to jump into the content immediately. And I got something that I got to talk about. I've been talking about it everywhere. You know how, like, you go, like, I feel like I'm barnstorming with this message. I'm just going from town to town, just sharing this. Honestly,
You're poor Revere?
I'm something. I'm Jermaine Revere.
Jermaine Revere? DeAndre Revere?
Yeah, something like that. So,
I might do that comic, DeAndre Revere. But
that
I'm
is
interrupting your rant. What you got to
dope.
get off your
That would
chest,
be
man?
so dope. Don't get you can't throw me off. I already got some sort of attention deficit, so you can't do that. But yes, NBA 2K badges is something I want to talk about. I've getting to the point where I'm starting to think that it is really the biggest problem with gameplay in 2K right now. I want to say this. Let me preface this by saying this. Like, I always like to, I'm going to be critical of just about any game. There's no game in the world that you're going to ever see that I'm not going to have anything at all critical to say about. Like, I love Call of Duty, but you know what? I wish they had a campaign mode. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to always have something, right? And it's not just for the sake of having it. This is like legit. This is how I think. So I say that to say I really do love this version of 2K. It is really good in most areas, but because it is so good in most areas or in a lot of areas, the parts that I wish that it was better at really stand out to me. And what I've really started to realize over the last week or week and a half is that, man, there's so many badges that are either overpowered, misapplied, flawed in terms of the activation process. And the first one that pops out to me is the limitless range badge, right? So, first of all, far too many people have limitless range badges, right? Far too many guys. Like, it feels to me that 2K decided to say everybody who is a good 3-point shooter is going to have a limitless range badge of some degree, just about, right? So if you're a good 3-point shooter, you got to have at least a bronze.
Okay,
Uh,
so B, just for clarification for our audience, what game modes are you referring to?
Honestly, the limitless range badge, I think, is, well, okay. So when I say misapplied, I'm talking about the NBA side. So I'm talking
Yeah.
about play
My
now,
team and
my
play
team,
now.
my
Yeah.
GM, my league, that stuff. Now, I do have a problem with it as it relates to pro am,
Yeah.
but I would only say pro am because I don't really govern park much at all because
You
it's
don't
park,
even need the badge in park.
right?
You just hit any
Because
shot in
it's
park.
park, so
Yeah, yeah.
it's whatever. Like,
Arcadey, yeah.
that's like me going and talking about some. You know what they really need to do to make cages more realistic? It's
Right.
cages, bro. Like,
Yeah.
so it is what it is. I'm talking about these games. This most is supposed to be about the NBA or it's supposed to be about a simulation basketball experience. And when you look at when you look at the NBA side, it's just far too many guys who have limitless range badges. I mean, you got like you and I were talking offline, and we were talking about like Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry is a good 3-point shooter, but Kyle Lowry doesn't pull up 25, 27 feet away from the basket. So if that's not the type of shot that you take on a regular basis or semi-regular basis, there's no reason for you to have a limitless range badge. And everybody, and I think you brought this up, everybody who has the limitless range badge shouldn't increase how well they shoot threes, because you know what? You're still a 31% 3-point shooter.
Right.
Whether you're taking them from 23.5 or 26. But what the limitless range badge does is it makes guys a better 3-point shooter than they actually are. And that is not authentic. Okay, so that's my first issue. My second issue with the limitless range badge, and this covers every mode, right? The application of the badge or the activation of the badge is insane, and it imbalances the game, and it overpowers the whole concept, right? I don't care if you're Steph Curry, you should not hit the floor with your limitless range badge activated, right? The way you activate takeover should be the way you activate your limitless range badge. And then takeover should be something above and beyond that, which, it's all activated by positive plays, right? Most players, real basketball, you got to get a lather going. You got to get a sweat going. You got to get a rhythm, right? Once you get into a rhythm, you start to, even if you're just watching it from a television standpoint, you're listening, you're watching like, the announcer starts saying, he's got it going. He's getting it going. The last thing they want to do is allow him to heat up. Limitless range has stepped in. Then he hit a couple limitless range shots. He's driving to the basket, gets fouled. Oh, now he's got takeover. You know what that is, honestly, Nelson? That is storytelling within a basketball game.
100%.
Because every game becomes this story and this narrative, and it's an interactive story that's building on top. So it's like, okay, our objective, because we're playing Golden State, is I cannot let Steph Curry activate his limitless range badge. We can't let that happen, because if we do, we know all hell's gonna break loose. Okay, if we allow that to happen, there's some adjustments we got to make, but we absolutely can't let him get takeover, because now he literally has taken over the game, right? Which is what it's supposed to be, Now, the last thing I'll say about this, because I don't want to hold it hostage too long, is not all badges should be activated the same way, and I reference Call of Duty, and I reference it a lot because I think its multiplayer is that good and that balanced. The way that you activate a badge in 2K should be very similar to the way your perks and things are your specialists, the things that are specific to the specialists, the way those things activate, it should run very similar to that. The more powerful, the more the perks or whatever that act on their own, right? Like Nomad's dogs, there's a few other things, the perks that are in Call of Duty, they don't accumulate or they don't become available to your specialists as quickly as Torque's razor wires and that sort of thing, because those things they don't go out and they're not as effective on their own. So if they allowed you to accumulate dogs as quickly as Torque accumulates razor wire, it would imbalance the game. You'd have dogs running around the map the whole the entire round. The same thing with 2K. Limitless range is a humongous thing that changes everything. You cannot allow him to hit the floor with that. And it's also not realistic. But some of the things that are based purely on athleticism, like bruiser, one-man fast break, rim protector, chase down artists, that kind of stuff, yes, they can hit the floor with that badge activated from the beginning. But things that have to do with shooting specifically, deep range, dead eye, limitless range, those things should have to be activated. They should not start from the time you hit the floor.
Yeah, I think you make a great point on a lot of levels. I would say right off the top, the number one thing they need to address is the way the badges are applied. Because right now, we had a segment a couple of weeks ago where I was saying I was defending the fact that I don't think they need more powerful my career players because your player is very powerful. And the reason I specified that is it doesn't look like it because your player is very likely going to have better badges than the person you're comparing it to. So while there might be something that you don't have access to, like maybe it'll be speed, maybe it'll be a 3-point rating because of your height, but with the badges you're able to put on your character, those ratings go sky high, right? So it
Hmm.
doesn't matter how tall your guy is if he's a pure sharpshooter, you know what I mean? With
Yes.
gold, limitless range, and Hall of Fame catch and shoot, he effectively, in the game, in my career, he effectively has a 95, 99 three-pointer. And if he's in takeover, he has 195 three-pointer. And it's
Yes.
very easy to get takeover. It only takes like 3 or 4 shots from limitless
Yes,
range to get
which is
takeover.
probably a little bit too easy for
Little
what it
imbalance.
is.
Agreed.
Yes.
So what the way the badge should work, and Bruce Bowen, I think, is the guy that the badge system is like ideally described by, because he's a guy who's not a good 3-point shooter unless he's in the corner.
Yes.
So
You
you
would
know what I'm
say
saying?
Trevor Ariza is similar too.
Yeah. So it's a situation where if Bruce Bowen's in the corner, corner specialist being his only shooting badge
Hmm.
means that he's a good shooter from the corner. Now he ain't Ray Allen from the corner. He has
Right.
to be open and all of that other stuff, right? So
But the
you
game makes him Ray Allen from the corner.
exactly. And so what it should be is whatever his 3-point rating is, let's say it's Bruce Bowen, so let's say it's a 73, right?
Hmm.
Throwing a spaghetti at the fridge, right? 73. But then he gets silver corner specialist. That's perfectly good enough for him to make a high percentage of corner threes if he's open and you work within the flow of the game. And that's Bruce Bowen. Bruce Bowen wasn't killing you from the corner after a dribble. You know what I
Right.
mean? It was only working in that context. So I agree with that point. I have no arguments with that. I think the system you're talking about in terms of comparing it to Call of Duty, I agree with you that they need to separate active and passive badges.
That
And
was
I
the
think
term I was that was the term I was looking for.
yeah, and this is goes through a lot of games where certain abilities you just have. I always said, and if y'all play 2K and you make a lot of archetypes, this is an important point. You guys should listen up. Your body type is what they call a passive in other games, right? Your body type is an advantage that's always active depending on what you choose. So if you choose max weight, it's one of the easiest ways to play on Hall of Fame because strength doesn't get modified by difficulty and it's always active. You don't have to do anything to make your strength give you the benefits of strength. It's just built in. Same thing with height. Height is obvious. Same thing with wingspan. Same thing with speed. Right now, speed
Right.
is regulated by the fatigue meter, but it's always active. So these are so now with speed, it's an attribute that you actually put points into. But with your physical body, these are passives that make you effective in the game on a base level, regardless of your ratings. You can go in and make a 60 center right now, but if he's 7'3 max weight, you will have a surprisingly decent post up game because of how many people you can overpower, because that's the way the game is regulated.
Right.
They need to add that passive quality to badges. And I think they can even add it to badge tiers. Like, say, bronze limitless is a passive, but silver, you have to start warming up your takeover meter. And as you warm up your takeover meter, you move up through the tiers of Limitless. And then when you pop takeover, you have the takeover on top of the effective Limitless. I think that's where they need to take the badges. And I do think some of the badges are a bit on the strong side
Hmm.
for the way they're put in the game and distributed. I think there's some badges that people still don't know how strong they are. A few people have mentioned it, but I've been talking all year about how one man fast break and pick and roller are extremely strong badges. If you shoot immediately after activating those badges, it's like you're playing with a different character until that shot is over.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm in a complete agreement. They need to start treating themselves a little bit more like a, Overwatch type game, a fighting game, they need to really think about this balance in a more layered and nuanced way, because it is something that can easily break the game. I don't think the game is broken, but I do think the game is a lot cheesier than it needs to be. And the
Yeah, I
badges are
mean,
one of the main
and
reasons why.
you know the great thing about that concept is that, like, as a pure sim guy, you would think I would never um condone, you know, changing or kind of copying off or taking a page um out of a shooting game to
Hmm.
apply to a basketball game. But the beauty in it is that you can take that concept that works for multiplayer and works from a balancing standpoint, and you can apply basketball logic to it, which is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do. And I really think that, man, I really think that that is just like the
But
way that
aren't NBA Live's perks more like that?
they are.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
are.
And
They are.
I think it's a good system in NBA Live.
Yeah, it is.
NBA
It is.
NBA Live has some nice things going for it. They just
It
need to
does,
round out
man.
that game.
It does. You know what NBA Live is like? NBA Live is like a person that you find really unattractive, but you know for a fact that they have some cool qualities about themselves, but you just can't get past that, and you're trying to be honest with yourself because you don't want to mistreat them. It's like, I just don't find you attractive. I just don't. I wish I
You
did.
you know
But
what? And I know we don't want to turn this into a 2K versus live debate, but it's valid because 2K and live is to the point now where 2K can pick up some things from what they're doing, because there's
absolutely.
some nice things that they're doing. Obviously, live can learn a whole lot from 2K because they're still catching up. But I will say this about live: if you haven't played live in a long time and you play 2K and you had one of those days where you just got 2K'd up and down the court
Mhm.
and you pick up live, it's a breath of fresh air. Now, once you hang out with live for too long, you realize it has bad breath and it can't cook
Yes.
and it don't clean the bathroom the way it should.
Mm,
But when you first hang out with live, that first hour, you like, man, why don't I hang out with you more? And then you
but you
realize, oh, this
quickly
is why.
realize why
This is
you
why I
don't.
don't hang out more. Yeah.
This is why I don't, because
But I do think that their perk system and their loadout system is decent. Now, obviously, the loadout system I wouldn't put in the NBA, but I do think for competitive players, um,
yeah,
it's
I don't like the loadout system. That part I don't like. I do like the way their whatever you call it, badges or perks or whatever you want to refer to it. I like the way they activate in the game. But
yeah,
then they have some other flawed stuff with the gaming that, like you can't, like, if you got a good player, you they have some issues with make miss too. They
yeah.
make this,
Oh,
concept
don't
balance
don't get me
really
started. Yeah, it's
is
crazy.
just
It's
bad.
crazy.
So, I mean, to me, they have some good things, but overall, the game is so far off. Like,
Mhm.
I really just want them to stop and go away for about 3 years and just try to make a awesome game. Just don't get from under the whole pressure of having to make a game another next year. Just go away for about 2 or 3 years and just do nothing but work on making a great base game, because and I mean, you can keep some of this stuff, but a lot of it's just not good enough. Just not good enough. So, um, but I had to get into that a little bit about the
I
badges.
like it.
Right, now let's move on. We're still in the NBA, but not 2K. Um, you were talking about this, and I was talking about this. I saw it. The NBA All-Star Draft. Um, you thought it was pretty cool, and I thought it was pretty cool too. I really did like that. What was some of the, like, I know you had mentioned it to me, Nelson, about how you thought that it maybe should be a thing.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the NBA All-Star Draft is we it started last year behind the shadows,
Yep.
and it made the game much more interesting.
Hmm.
It was like the best All-Star game in years and years and years.
Yeah.
Um, but now that we've seen the draft, what's kind of happened on the low is they have revolutionized sporting events, like ancillary exhibition sporting events, because this was a thing that was genuinely interesting to watch. It was relevant to the game, and it's totally original. We've
Mhm.
never seen, in my recollection, I've never seen professional athletes pick each other and haggle each other over the greatest players in the world. And
Right.
you get to see the personality, the sense of humor, the rivalry. I mean, Antetokounmpo isn't that tampering. That's like
Yeah, that
classic.
was dope. That
I
was
mean,
an
so
awesome
good,
night.
right? Ernie mediating. I mean, that was it was I thought it was like they didn't I don't think they knew how good it would be.
Yeah.
And this is something I never want to see go away. And I just want to see it get better and better. I don't want them to put too much fanfare because part of the charm is that it's almost like two guys in the gym, you
Yes.
know. So I don't want it to get too overproduced. But yeah, I thought it was really like if you really think about how original it is, that this game has been, I mean, how long has basketball been around? 75 years, something like that now?
Yeah, something crazy.
Right? And this is the first time we're seeing this, and there's no other sporting event that I can even compare it to. I can't think of anything that's anything like that in mainstream sports. In esports, there's some stuff that's like that, but nothing like this in mainstream sports. And I thought it was kind of awesome. And
Yeah. I would agree, man. I thought it was really good. I thought that they should have televised it from the beginning, like last year when they first brought it in. And I'm glad that they heard the fan feedback and immediately started broadcasting it the next year. Which I mean, honestly, man, this doesn't surprise me. The NBA has positioned itself as the most vibrant living organism of all of the sports organizations out there, right?
yeah.
I mean, they're still a big company, so they still, got some things that people may not like. But for the most part, they are the most in tune with their fan base, and they're the quickest to act on what their fan base is requesting and what they want. I mean, even to its detriment sometimes. I mean, with the way like the rules don't play, nobody can play defense. I mean, so I mean, but fans like the high scoring. You see a lot of fans talking about how if the game was 89 to 80 or 99 and 91, they wouldn't watch it every day or they wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
I loved it, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, they do what they do what they're supposed to do. They listen, and fans wanted the draft to be televised, and it was. And Tetakumpo really he really made me pay attention when he said, is it that tampering?" That just cracked me up, because at first I thought he was going to be really robotic and stuff because and Ernie kind of gave him a little poke because after the first two picks he was like, "That's a really good pick," and Ernie was like, "Well, be honest, like every pick's a good pick because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like the All Stars." So it was cool. I just thought it was really Ernie was the perfect mediator too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely thought it was great. Let's talk a little bit about UFC 234. It was just this Saturday, and I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell. We'll talk about three biggest takeaways, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my biggest takeaway was that overall the event itself was disappointing. Um, it started with Robert Whitaker having to pull out. He had a very serious abdominal injury. They said basically, had he gotten hit in the midsection, he could have died in the octagon because
Mm-hmm.
that's how,
Yep.
this was a bowel issue. And, so clearly the right decision was made for him not to compete. But that was a huge blow to the card because the card was not super strong on paper to begin with. So it lost the most of or a lot of the name recognition that it had anyway. So that was one thing. Secondly, I thought that well, I guess in support of this first thing, I just didn't. Well, I guess it's my second thing. I just wasn't impressed with the Adesanya Anderson Silva fight. They fought like two people that really, really like each other, and well, especially Adesanya. I think Silva was probably doing his best, but Adesanya, you know how it used to be, how people would get really like disenchanted or put off when Venus and Serena would play each other. they would imply that they weren't really going out playing as hard as they do when they play other people. That's what it felt like to me. You know,
I didn't feel that way. I felt like the only aspect of that I felt was if you were coaching Anderson Silva, you would expect that if given the opportunity, he would really want to test Adesanya on the ground because Anderson Silva is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and Adesanya hasn't proven that he can handle that at the highest level yet. And you would want to see Anderson test that. And he had some opportunities where he could have pushed it, and he clearly was 100% dedicated to standing up the entire fight and having a kickboxing match.
well, see, to me well, here's the thing. Like, all black belts are not created equal, and all Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belts are not created equal. A lot of times people just throw that out there and they say that, and they automatically say, oh, well, he's great there. But it's not about that. It's about the comfort level in an actual fight, because a lot of times they acquire these black belts and these honors in different types of situations. No gi and gi Brazilian jiu-jitsu or jiu-jitsu training or our competitions is different than MMA grappling and MMA jiu-jitsu. Applying it in the situations where you apply it is different. Now he may still get his black belt, but is it applicable the same way? And does his body frame work for it? Anderson, if he Anderson, first of all, doesn't want to do that. He wants to strike, right? So, and every time you've ever seen him implement his Brazilian jiu-jitsu, it's always been in a situation where he is reacting and trying to survive from having been taken down or having gone to the ground for whatever reason. But his whole game has always been set up on keeping the fight standing. The other problem that I have with Anderson, especially later in his career, I don't think Anderson fights to win as much as he fights to entertain.
Oh, for sure. I think that's his MO right now. His
Yeah.
MMO his
And I
his MO is he's fighting because he loves the game, and if he can win while entertaining and being who he wants to be, then yeah, he's in Iverson mode where he want to win his way. And if he can't, he's cool with that because he has nothing left to prove. And I totally understand that, which is why I said, I don't I want to see him in show matches. I don't really want to see him contending because I don't feel like he's in a win at all cost kind of mode, which is my point. I think he's had enough submissions in his career and is a good enough BJJ guy. And again, with an unproven guy like Adesanya, you would at least test it. You would at least test, but and my thing is not that he didn't try to take him down or whatever, but the fact that he was clearly against it. It was clearly let's stand toe to toe and throw punches and kicks at each other. That's what was happening. They were in a
Yeah.
kickboxing match. That's my point. And but to that point, I don't think Israel held back. I think Israel was telling the truth about what he said, which was basically I would have loved to gone in there and finished him, but he was faster than I expected. He was hitting harder than I expected, and he was trying to bait me, and I'm not going to get baited. If we and I know I'm winning, so I'm gonna have to take the win that way. I think that's what looked like what happened during the fight. That's what was called during the fight, and that's what a lot of experts are saying. So I think most of the evidence points towards that. I don't think it was a situation where Adesanya could have just knocked Anderson out if he'd have done this without exposing himself in a way that also put him at risk to getting caught with something. I think he pulled a Tyron Woodley, where he was just like, could I theoretically do more to knock this guy out? Theoretically, would that increase my chances of winning the match? No, because I'm 100% winning the match on points. Like I can guarantee victory by doing what I'm doing. And I think the overwhelming thing with this fight was this was a 5-round fight and it was only a 3-round fight. You know,
Mhm.
these guys both had the kind of skills, the kind of stamina, the kind of chess match. There was a lot of things going on where you see the guys figuring each other out, feinting. That wasn't off for show. Like they were really figuring out spacing and stuff like that. And when they were doing that, Silva surprised Izzy a couple of times, and that's why he was just like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna just take this victory on the points and go home. So I wasn't disappointed from that as far as that goes. But there was other fights on the card. I mean, one of the big takeaways for me was we talked last time about early stoppages. I felt that it was an early stoppage in the shoot fight.
Yeah, the Jimmy Crute, Sam Alvey
Crude,
fight.
crude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an early stop. It was a terrible stoppage. In fact, literally what I said in the last show about Dillashaw, what I say that the classic intelligent defense is once you get that arm up around the ear, the ref is supposed to take that as the stop sign. Don't you call this fight unless you see the guy go limp. He got the arm up, gave the thumbs up, and the referee still stopped the fight. Terrible stoppage. And the other, did you got anything to say about that?
I don't think it was a terrible stoppage. I think it was maybe a half a second or so, a little too early, maybe. But for me, I here's my thing. Do I have any doubt at all that the guy is finished? That's usually what I ask myself, right? Um, Alvey was cooked. Um, he was really hurt by, well, first of all, Jimmy Crute really should only blame himself if anything negative had happened for him in that fight,
Because he
because
walked away.
he walked away because he wanted the showtime. He wanted to see, he's
Yeah.
Australian.
Yeah.
And he used this term, right? He said, I wanted the walk off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He
Well,
wanted to
that
knock him out,
term
turn
came,
around.
that term came from Mark Hunt, who
Hmm.
is a legendary Australian mixed martial artist, former kickboxer, UFC legend, if you want to call somebody with a 500 record that below 500 at this point. But he is the guy who kind of revolutionized the walk off KO. That's when they started using the term, because one punch knockout from Mark Hunt, he turns his back, he literally walks off. And they said Mark Hunt with the walk off. So it felt to me like Jimmy Crute wanted to emulate that to a degree.
Hmm.
And you don't stop until the ref stops you. So he created that situation because he stayed on Alvey at that point, when Alvey was truly on Dream Street, there would have been no dispute, because he could have pounded him out right there. But he didn't. He came back. I felt that, here's the thing: people say giving the thumbs up. A lot of times fighters do things instinctually, but they're not there.
I
Mentally,
don't
they're
think
not
that
there.
was the case here, though, because he
The,
first covered up, and
he did,
then after covering
but
up,
when you
he
when
put the
you
thumb. And he talked about early stoppages from this ref, and
yeah,
so he had the wherewithal. I think he was specifically speaking to that ref, like, "Hey, don't do me like that. I got my arm up. Let me, I'm fine. Let me just bear with this." And unlike Dillashaw, as soon as he knew that it was called, he popped
yes,
up and was
yes.
fully lucid. He
So
never
that
had that glaze. I look, remember,
no, he
Dillashaw
was
went down
no,
like
he was a
four
little
times.
glazed. He was a little
No,
glazed,
he
but
was
I
he
do
was
agree he did
rattled.
pop up.
Dillashaw looked like he literally left the earth for a minute.
No, I agree. This was worse than Dillashaw for sure. I agree with that. But the referee has to also react to posture, right? And if you are down and not really defending yourself,
But
especially
he
if I just got
was.
through, he cover up, shelling up is a, if
No,
you're
he did intelligent defense, man. He
he put his
covered up
hand,
the
but
punch
that's still
side,
the same thing.
gave
If
the
you're
thumbs up, and the ref
that
shut him down. He didn't give him a second.
I do, like I said, I think it was a little too quick, but a little quick, I should say. But when you're down on all fours and you do this, or you do this and do that, if you do that, what I'm saying is, had he stayed in that position for maybe 2 more seconds, that
Yeah, I
is
mean, you
still
got to move.
that is
And
still
here's the thing,
cause.
though. But what you're saying is, if the referee did his job and you know Crute just kept pounding him, then it would have been the right call.
Right. I said
I
maybe
agree
maybe a
if it was
little
different.
quick.
But hold on, the referee's job though is when you do that and you say I'm intelligently defending, the referee's supposed to warn you and say you have to prove that to me or I'm gonna call this fight. Defend, show me something, keep it moving, or I'm gonna call it. That's the ref's job. When you put your arm up and give the thumbs up and say, "Give me a second, I'm fine." This is MMA, man. You ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, I mean, I,
Dillashaw got hit in the face like 9 times in a row. This guy had his arm up, and the last 3 punches hit him in the shoulder. Like
if I
I'm
mean
not
if
saying he
I'm
didn't fight, but I'm saying that he had every 100% right. I don't think there's any dispute. Bad stoppage 100%. I don't think there's anything.
I don't think it was a horrible stoppage. I don't have a problem with someone saying, "Oh, that was a little bit too quick," or "That was a little quick," but I don't think it was cause for an outrage type of a stoppage. I don't. I don't. I mean, maybe I say that because I don't think Alvey had much of a chance to win that fight at that point, and I am
But my thing isn't whether he would have won the fight, but in MMA, you're supposed to, because of the nature of the game, and obviously you know this, when people get rattled, sometimes that's the thing that happens before the other guy puts himself in a bad position,
That's
right?
true. That's true.
And the referee didn't give him that opportunity. He had a history with this referee, and he did everything that he could in that moment to prevent that
See,
from
I
happening.
guess
And
my
that's my
thing is,
problem.
well, here's my thing, and here's where I find a flaw with what Alvey said. Alvey said, um, he stops my fights too quickly. I told him, let me go out on my shield. Give me an opportunity to this, that, and the third. Here's the thing. Mark Goddard can't have special rules for Sam Alvey.
But I don't. I
He
think
can't
Albie was just
allow Sam
asking
Al
for
he can't
MMA
allow
rules.
Sam Alvey to tell him how to ref him. And that's the thing. Mark Goddard has to ref him the way he refs every other fighter. And if that's when now if we're saying that, if Sam Alvey is saying that, okay, just in general, these stoppages are too early, then that's one thing. But if he's trying to tell him, hey, when I'm fighting, you don't stop my fight here. You can't do that because the ref has to protect you from yourself as well as protect you from the opponent who might have you hurt.
In
So while
theory, yeah,
I
but
do agree,
according to the way MMA fights are called, that was an early stoppage. Like,
I can see somebody can say it was a little early, but I don't, like I said, I don't think it was a gross outrage. Like, of course, Alvey's mad because Alvey's a competitor, and Alvey is
well,
a
I think
tough
he's
guy.
mad because he got hit in the arm 4 times and then the fight ended.
I think he was popped. I think he was
Oh, I'm
popped.
not saying the debate is not whether or not he would have won the fight. The,
No, I think he was hurt enough to have stopped that fight. I just think that the
I
reason
don't think
why it
so.
was a
Not because
little bit quick, I think it was a little quick because um he was allowed to get up because, and that was Cruz's fault. That was Cruz's fault. But then the follow-up afterwards, there weren't enough punches landed afterwards to make it definitive. But I think that he originally was hurt bad enough to stop the fight. He was, I mean, that right hand that landed,
no,
he was
he
done.
got rocked. It's not an issue if he got rocked. People get rocked in MMA all the time, and then they win that fight, right? So, it's not an issue of whether he got rocked. It's the issue of whether he got rocked, recovered, and started intelligently defending. He did that, and as soon as the fight ended, that dude looked like he was lucid enough to do his taxes. He was complaining in perfect English. How could you do this to me? Blah 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 blah. Like he looked like a guy who was recovered. Whereas like Dillashaw looked like a guy who got beat down. You
I
know
mean,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
he was definitely
Dillashaw, you
in
was
better.
killed.
He
Like
was definitely better than Dillashaw was.
yeah.
Definitely.
So and the thing is, and here's the thing, Dillashaw, and this is where I think there's a line. It's not. I don't think there's a lot of ambiguity here. If a guy's getting hit in the face repeatedly, then it's like on the referee to protect him. If a guy's getting hit in the arm, there's no emergency happening right now. And he was literally being punched in the shoulder. The other thing from that, now we ain't never gonna agree on this one. Y'all can look at the tape, see where we land on the at me, bro. Right wrong scale on this. That's why we do this show. Devontae Smith and Ricky Simone both looked fantastic.
They did. They both looked great.
And watching those two guys fight saved the card for me a little bit. Like, not in terms of this was a pay-per-view, but in terms of did I enjoy my night of watching MMA? Yeah, I enjoyed it because I enjoyed watching those guys fight, and I enjoyed watching Izzy fight his hero. That was, something moving about that because you
Yeah,
truly
I
respect.
enjoyed that part. I think that's what I wrote in my recap, is the thing that I appreciated most about the fight
Where'd
was
you write that recap, Ryan?
I wrote it up on Forbes.
Oh, you write for Forbes?
I do.
Yeah, people should check that out. They can see how wrong you
Perhaps
are
I
on
should say,
Forbes, what you get
say
away with.
that more, but I tend not to say that as much anymore. but yeah, I
He
mean,
write the facts on Forbes. He come here with the nonsense.
no, I make sure I share the nonsense equally. But I mean, that was one of the things that I wrote. I said, you know,
Yeah.
I appreciated the mutual respect. You could see that was there, and there was some value in that. I just didn't love the fight. I thought, honestly, Adesanya was in a no-win situation, to be honest.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah, you know, if you knocked him out, you knocked out a 43-year-old. If you
If you
lose or if
lose,
you
how
don't
could
look
you?
great,
You
and I think
overrated.
that's exactly what happened. And I think he
Yeah.
really realized that mid-fight, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I agree. Ricky Simone and Devontae Smith were great. Ricky Simone did a great job against a Brazilian jiu-jitsu beast,
Yeah.
and he dictated the fight. He was like, "No, this fight's gonna happen the way I want it to happen."
Yeah.
And
He
that's
was sharp.
he was sharp. He was
I
really
love
good.
seeing a
So
sharp fighter like
definitely, this is it's sometimes people control you with a look, you know, and sometimes Nelson is a look troll.
that.
Just looks at you and trolls you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It just happened. It just happened. He's peeking from under the bill of his cap in a troll-like manner, and it's very bothersome to me. And you know what's worse is the producer of the show, who is my wife, laughs when he trolls me. It's insane. At any
Uh,
rate, we're going to talk about some boxing. There's some. So first and foremost, Marcos Rene Maidana. I really like Maidana. I really like Maidana. I really do. I always have. Right? He is a fighter. He is a fighter's fight. I mean, we're not necessarily talking about the most technically sound guy, but he is a fighter. Right? Um, he is coming back after a 5-year absence from the ring. Like I coined this term, the Mayweather retirement plan. It's get paid, get beat, get paid, get fat.
uh-huh.
And I coined that off of Maidana. You fight Mayweather, you get beat, you're gonna get paid, probably the biggest payday you ever had,
Hmm.
and then you go get fat because you're retired and you good. Maidana did that. He really did that. Maidana got up to he's up to like 200 pounds.
What? That's
Yes.
crazy.
So there's some rumors floating about. Well, he's definitely coming back, at least if he can get in shape. And the rumors are is his first fight back supposed to be around July, and he's probably going to fight at either 160 or 154, which is too big for his frame, but it's realistic for him to work his way back down to 147. And then once he's back to that, or once he's down to that point, the rumor is that he's going to get a big name, and that big name is more than likely going to be Adrien Broner, which will be a rematch of their first fight, obviously, which it was Adrien Broner's first ever professional loss. He beat Adrien Broner down.
Hmm.
Basically, he bullied him. He took away his space. He's the first guy that we ever saw hurt Broner, and because Broner has a great chin. Broner has a great chin. I tell people that all the time. He has a great chin.
Hmm.
Um, so you know, I actually think that it's a good fight for both of them, right? And Maidana just at this point just needs a fight because he's wanting to come back, and so he comes back at 154, 160 against somebody who's not a huge threat, but it's just to get him in the shape, and then he fights Broner at 147 if this comes to fruition, and because right about now Broner need the best thing for Broner is a beatable opponent with a name. That's the best thing for his career right now, right? Because what PBC, Showtime, Al Heyman, what they have to do with Broner now is they have to be able to convince people again with some sort of smoke and mirrors that he is an elite fighter. Because for the most part, everybody thinks that's not the case. I mean, there was a rumor kind of started and speculated on, and it started with us at Forbes, to be honest. Myself and my colleague Peter Kahn, we were writing about the prospects of Keith Thurman taking on Broner. Well, Keith Thurman got wind of it and he laughed. He's like, "Dude, really? Why? Why would he ever deserve a title shot?" you know, if anything, he should be in the title eliminator fight. So Broner, he and Broner kind of went back and forth about that or whatever, which I guess in some ways was kind of testing the waters to see if there was actually interest in it. But yeah, I mean, Broner's at the point, man, where he needs to be fighting somebody who's beatable, but who has a name. And Maidana, after a 5-year layoff, and after blowing up way out of shape,
Okay, now
maybe he's the guy.
let's tell the truth to the people. You said blowing up way out of shape. See, the thing is, when athletes get out of shape, like until they older, and Maidana's only 35 years old, so he's
Right.
still on the outskirts of his physical prime, theoretically.
Mm.
But he got, give me an extra apple pie fat.
He got chunky chunk.
I mean, no, he got fat shame fat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Chunky chunk.
Yeah, he fat.
And you know what? The
He looked
biggest
like
thing
he
about
never
it was,
fought before.
you know what the biggest thing about it was? Is that he was happy in that.
Yeah, he looked happy.
He happy, man. He's
chilling. The best food. I mean, he's not eating the best food because you can't look like that eating the best food.
I mean, dude, he's chilling.
He's eating, buttered sugar.
Yeah, I mean, and you see pictures of him eating and smiling.
We need to get one of them up in here with the edits if we can, because he looked ridiculous.
Yes.
And I'm with the 98% of the population that saw the Pacquiao fight and the aftermath that never wants to see Broner fight again.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Broner fight anymore. And it's not because he's a bad fighter. It's because what my co-host said here on this show. Maidana knocked the fighter out of him. And apparently, he's just this guy that's on the bicycle all the time. Trying to win on points, losing 2-1 on every exchange.
Yeah. I mean,
that's not it's supposed to be a fight, man. Like, it's a boxing match, but there's supposed to be some dog in you. And I don't see the dog in him. I'm not interested in him fighting anymore ever.
Well, here's the thing. This is exactly the reason why fighting Maidana might be the only thing that can help him, because if Maidana
exists, we need evidence that Maidana exists, because the man who has his name,
Maidana. You're the man that ate Marcos Maidana. I mean,
yeah, I wish this was in hot and cold so I could throw an ice cube at the camera right now. I am cold. I'm cold on Broner. Broner could fight Anderson Silva. I might not watch.
Oh, yeah, we gotta watch that one. We gotta watch that one.
I'm done with him. He threw.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I think that I understand what you're saying, and I kind of feel the same way. But I kind of think that I can't help but put on like my promoter hat with this.
Yeah.
And when I put on my promoter hat, I'm like, this is.
You see 250-pound Maidana and running away Adrien Broner, who thinks he's going to fight. He clearly lost. Even if I can't wait.
Even if I get Maidana down, if I can get Maidana down to 147, even honestly, if I can get Maidana down to 154, and I tell Broner, hey, Broner wouldn't have any problem coming in at 154. He'll love that.
Yeah.
He'll love that. So I'm thinking, like, I know I can sell this fight.
But
I know I can sell this fight.
Would that be a good boxing match?
It might. You know what? It might not be a good boxing match, but I think it might be a good fight.
I don't think so.
I mean, because Maidana forces you to fight. You have no
Ho.
Yes. That old Maidana.
But
maybe the man who ate Maidana might not be able to.
What he's gonna do?
He might not be able to force you to fight. He might just put his hands on his hips, like.
And like the idea that he's gonna, and it's possible because he's a professional athlete, but the idea that he's gonna come down, bodily transform himself from being completely and totally in terrible condition, and then give you a good fight, chasing Adrien Broner around who has no intention of fighting.
The reason why it seems less likely is because he was happy. It appeared as though he was happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and when you happy and fat, you have to go through something to make you go through the suffering of working out and eating clean.
Yes, yes, yes.
You don't
Unless
just
he,
be like, oh man, I'm putting this cheesecake away because
yes,
it sucks
un-
now.
unless he's out of money, which that's a motivator.
Yeah, yeah.
So you never know.
And food
So
ain't that
we'll see.
expensive. Come on,
Depending on what you eat.
man.
All righty. Let's talk. Let's go on the gaming side. Let's go on the gaming side, right? There's a new Call of Duty game coming out in the fall. Infinity Ward is doing it. And I'm happy because we just talked about this a little bit earlier, but it's gonna have a campaign mode. Yes,
Yeah.
in the face. Now, I hope this does not compromise the absolute awesomeness that is the multiplayer options this year.
Mhm.
I don't want that to be the case. I don't want them to compromise what they've done with the battle royale concept either. We don't want that.
And to let the people know, we like Call of Duty on this show.
I love it.
We are fans of the multiplayer and Blackout, not
I
just.
play it every day.
Yeah, I still need to get in those streets with you, see what you about.
I play it every day, and I'm a free for all. I'm a gun game guy. Um, Team deathmatch is to a lesser degree, but those are the three I play. Well, and I play Blackout. So those
Yeah,
are the three. Those are the ones I play the most. But I'm mostly a free for all guy, and I've gotten to the point where I very rarely finish outside of the top three.
nice.
Very rarely. Um, I'm a Nomad is my guy.
Mhm.
I have a weapons loadout that I have named War, and I use the Hades with a suppressor
Nice.
and Full Metal Jacket with the rapid fire bullets, and I use the device that speeds up my score streaks.
Yeah.
You know the most sad. I tweeted this about 2-3 weeks ago. Right now, the most satisfying moment in gaming for me is to have Nomad, to get my dogs, to get the sniper, to get my sniper's nest, and the strike team. When all of that is going on, you know, when you really want to top it off, when all that's going on, because I also have the care package. If I get a sentry gun from the chair from the care package, so I got dogs running around, a sentry gun, a sniper's nest, and a strike team. There is nothing in gaming right now that makes me feel better than that. Nothing. Like I just sit there and go, it's happening, baby. It's happening. Like this is what I do. I mean, it's like every single round I play is to feel that.
Yeah, we still
Like
got to set up the Rated Sim Nation Call of Duty multiplayer
it would
and
be
get
up.
in some old fashioned shooting each other in the face. So you were saying new campaign. Real
Yes.
quick, I'm gonna get in. I'm excited about it, but I will say the more I like a Call of Duty game,
Hmm.
the more when the next year one is coming out already, I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, already, huh?
Yeah.
Y'all ain't
Yeah.
gonna let
Yeah.
this one sit for a minute. This is a good
Yeah.
game. Like
Yeah. I think
y'all,
they're
yeah.
piggybacking off what Far Cry did because
But Far Cry is a single player game. Well, co-op.
you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
And
You're right.
me and my brother was talking about Far Cry. You know what? We got Far Cry later. I ain't
Yeah,
gonna
we do.
jump. I ain't
Yeah,
gonna
we
jump
do.
it.
Yeah.
But you were saying campaign. I'll say this real quick. I like the Call of Duty campaigns because it feels a lot like playing a Michael Bay movie. And even though they're not the longest, deepest, you know, most Shakespearean motivated story in the world, I think they do. So it's okay to have dumb fun.
Yeah.
And when you play games that take a lot of strategy and coordination, like if you're into Rainbow Six Siege, or if you play Overwatch, or if you play a battle royale game like Apex or Fortnite, where you're running around without shooting people a lot, it's nice to have a game where you could go in and you shoot, they shoot, that's it.
Yes.
And what I love about COD is they make it really satisfying. It feels really, really good. Props to Respawn for Apex because Apex is in that group, I think, with Destiny, COD,
Yeah.
Apex. I think Far Cry 5 actually really good, satisfying shooting as well. A little step up
Apex,
for Ubisoft.
Apex, Apex, and Titanfall 2 have
Yeah.
to me the best shooting
No,
that
they
I've
made
ever.
Modern Warfare 2, so
Yeah.
Respawn top of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for it, man. So what else you got to tell us about COD?
Um, So basically, let's see, it comes out this fall. Um, like it's an entirely new campaign that says it's going to be a huge, expansive multiplayer world with some co-op gameplay. Um, it looks like they're trying to make it appeal to a more broad audience. So they want to hit the existing fan base, but also attract some new people. That makes me think they're going to try to inject as much Fortnite in it as they can. Uh, we'll
You know
see.
what? They just lost Destiny, so
Yeah,
they have to get those people back because
yeah,
that was people on their payroll, and
yeah,
there's less people on Destiny PC, and it's still quick games.
yeah.
So they lost a lot of folks because that's Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. That entire multiplayer base is not, going to be feeding them anymore. So
Yeah, and I noticed that in the write-up that was sent to me, and I'm going to read this exact quote because I think it's kind of interesting. The Activation Blizzard team will also build on their experience with the Overwatch League
yeah,
to launch a professional city-based Call of Duty league that drives franchise engagement. So that tells me they are like Call of Duty has always been an esport title, but I think Overwatch passed it up. I know Overwatch passed it up in terms of where it sits in the whole pantheon of esports first-person shooters, and I think they want to get some of that back. You know.
it's interesting because Apex just came out.
Mhm.
And Apex, like Overwatch, they realize what you need for a great esport. And you
Yep,
need
from the beginning,
time.
it was developed that way. You can tell.
Correct, correct. And then one of the main things you need is you need time for counterplay.
Hmm.
And the time to kill in Call of Duty is so high that they're in the space of Counter-Strike.
Hmm.
That's like the only game where the engagements. In fact, the Call of Duty, see, here's the thing. You can have a quick time to kill, but the engagements happening that fast.
Yeah.
It's like if the engagements happen that fast and the time to kill is that high, it's hard for us to see the skill in it.
Yes.
Because in COD, there's no point in getting headshots in COD because the time to kill change isn't that different.
Yeah.
You might as well just, aim for full mass and guarantee and ride the recoil up the body. It's going to be just as quick because the rule in COD is if I see you first,
You
I win the
first.
gunfight.
That's it. That's what it is. Only way it's not the case is if somebody just really sucks at shooting.
If they suck, right? And once you get your rank up and your MMR is up, you're not playing those people anymore. So the thing about Overwatch and Apex Legends in particular, because I think those games are bookending what COD is trying to get into.
Hmm.
Both of those, if you watch streamers play Apex and you watch a really skilled streamer,
Hmm.
they making plays, man.
Yeah,
These
man.
guys are dropping abilities. They sliding. They talking to their teammates. I'm running over here. They healing on the go because there's time to react to making a bad decision, and that means there's room to like make a risky decision.
Hmm.
And risk is also a part of good competition. And with COD, everything is risky because you might die at the drop of a hat. So they have to figure that out if they want a real esport. Because the way I described Call of Duty, I think it was Black Ops 3, was I said that game is like if you put a bunch of marbles in a shoebox and you rock it from side to side.
Yeah.
That's what playing that game feels like. And if an esport, when people are really, really, really accurate and they know where you're going to be, one of two things is going to happen. It's going to be way too fast or way too slow. And they have to make adjustments with their class and time to kill system so
Hmm.
that there's enough room for gunplay. Because we don't want to see people running around just, you know, Mountain doing it.
Mountain doing
I
it.
don't want to see that Mountain Dew and Chips esport gameplay. I want real, skill. I want to see real skill. You watch if you ever played Overwatch and
Hmm.
you watch the Overwatch League, you like, yeah, I'm as far from him in Overwatch as I am from, Damian Lillard in basketball. All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
like that the distance is that great.
Oh
You
yeah.
can sit me here in front of a computer all day. I'm not making that shot.
Honestly, man, the I kind of see that a little bit when I watch some Fortnite stuff. When I watch a really good guy in Fortnite, a really good person in Fortnite who can really shoot,
Oh yeah, those
like
guys are excellent.
sometimes I go, "Oh, there's no way in the world."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I watched a kid yesterday or a couple days ago hit a headshot sniper on a dude on a zip line.
Yeah.
I mean, moving on a
Yeah.
zip line away from him. I'm talking about getting smaller. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
like, whoa. I'm like, that's insane. You know what I mean? So that was pretty dope. So yeah, definitely. But I am. I'm very excited about
I'm
it.
excited to see what they try though. Like,
Yeah.
and look, whether it pass or fail, whether it's great or great or terrible, I'm really looking forward to seeing them take it seriously because Call of Duty hasn't taken competitive balance very seriously in a long time, and the landscape has changed dramatically in esports
Yeah.
since MLG was
Hmm.
synonymous with Call of Duty and Halo. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think the thing for them to do, and they're big enough to do this, and you talked about this before about alternating studios and how
Yeah.
that gives you an opportunity to do some different type of stuff. But I think they are the company and they are the franchise that can literally offer you like two complete experiences, a simulation experience and like a competitive experience and a casual experience. They can actually do that
I
because
think they
they
kind of already have, in the sense that Blackout plays really differently than
Mhm.
multiplayer, even though they're on the same engine. And they both feel really good.
Yeah,
So
they just feel
I
different.
agree.
I think it's even a step that they can take towards the competitive side that
Yeah.
they haven't taken yet. And I think the way this sounds like that's what they're gearing up for. So hopefully that's hopefully that's what happens, you know. But yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, let's jump into hot and cold. And we want to work on making hot and cold a little quicker. So we only got a couple of them this time. So we're gonna jump right on into it. Um, the Alliance of American Football. Like, here's maybe I'm crazy, right? But it really didn't feel like they marketed this that well. But this sucker did 2.8 million views the first weekend. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe it was just me because I just
Hmm.
didn't feel like they were talking about it as much as they needed to talk about it. But apparently it got out. Did you get a chance to watch any of it?
Only highlights.
Only highlights. Yeah. Yeah.
What I did see
Um,
from the highlights is they was hitting people.
they were hitting people. And so you got to worry about the long-term health of some of these guys. And many of them I know they're playing because they want to get back to the NFL. Like Zach Stacy's trying to get back to the NFL. Christian Hackenberg's trying to get to the NFL, but I think everybody saw why the Jets never played him just in his first game. Here, he was horrible in the AAF. So it is what it is. But I love new leagues. I'm just a sucker for a new league. I really am. I love new leagues. I love to see if they can do something, if they can get something, something going, something established. So I'm all for it. I'll always support it. I do want everybody to be safe, though. I don't want there's something to happen for the NFL to go, see, this is why we have this because
Hmm.
people are going to get their lips knocked off. I don't want that to happen. So but we'll see. I'm hoping that it can sustain itself. I think they definitely went about it the right way. It's interesting because Vince McMahon's XFL is still coming. So now we're talking about having 3 professional football leagues in the United States at the same time. That's going to be insane. So I think it's pretty easy to see the AAF and the XFL probably cannot coexist. 3 is going to probably be way too many. I would love to see if they would be interested in combining, merging a merger. I mean, we saw it with the NFL and the
Yeah,
AFL.
that could be sick. That could be sick.
That right there might really be what needs to happen. So an AAF XFL merger, wow, could that be something? So I would love to see if that happens. That might ultimately be the future of what needs to take place, and you can kind of incorporate some different concepts there. So I don't know. A lot of that might come down to egos. Maybe Vince McMahon doesn't want to have to merge with somebody. He doesn't seem like the merging type of guy unless he's the one that's doing the buyout. So we'll find out. We'll find out. But
Hmm.
that's interesting to me. Um, let's see. Next on Hot and Cold, we were talking about we did have some Far Cry to talk about. the February 15th is a ginormous day from a video game release standpoint. You got Jump Force comes out that day, Metro Exodus, Crackdown 3, and Far Cry New Dawn. We talked about those other three, those first three before at some point on the show. But Far Cry New Dawn, we have not talked about. And we were just mentioning, Books was just talking about how he felt like Call of Duty coming out was like kind of felt like already. Man, Far Cry 5 came out in March of 2018. So we're talking about 11 months later, they have a new version, which now technically the story picks up 17 years after the events in Far Cry 5. It's not a full price game, which I thought was interesting. I think I saw it's $39.99.
So let's hop on that for a second, because this is an interesting thing, because this is a super DLC.
Yes, that's what it feels like.
It's a super DLC because it's got a different system. It's not just, map, characters, weapons. It's a new, totally new story, and they have this new RPG system. And this is why I'm in wait and see mode. You don't got to sell me on the Far Cry world and system. I've been liking Far Cry since Far Cry 2, actually. And I didn't play Far Cry Primal and 4 because I was just on cooldown. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like y'all keep throwing Far Cries at me. I don't know. Right. After Blood Dragon, I was like, I'm on cooldown. I'll pick it back up when it's like more next gen. And I wasn't disappointed in Far Cry 5. What I really loved about it was you could feel that Ubisoft has made a lot of different kinds of games, and that they have a lot of different kinds of resources. Because the thing about Far Cry 5 that I don't think it gets a lot of credit for is everything feels polished.
Yes.
Like the driving feels good. All of the guns feel good. Sprinting, sliding, climbing, rappelling. It all feels really good. In addition to, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the atmosphere, the music. There was one of those missions is hilarious. I could go on and on all day about how I think it is a very solid game that if it's your cup of tea, it's better than solid. Right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was very enjoyable. No complaints about Far Cry 5. Co-op, one of the greatest things. But here's the thing. What we said earlier was the satisfaction of shooting somebody in the face. One of my favorite things about Far Cry 5 is no matter who you are, if I put this throwing knife in between your two eyes, you die.
Yeah.
Far Cry New Dawn is an RPG-based system.
Yep.
Which is bringing in that bullet sponginess from the Division. I don't play the Division because I ain't trying to shoot some guy in a hoodie 500 times.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something that's very simple about it that I don't like. And this is a little bit of a disconnect for me with Fortnite. I don't like the little numbers popping off, the damage numbers. I don't like that.
I don't need a damage number from shooting a human being in the face with a revolver.
I don't like it, man.
I know what the damage number is. He dead.
Yeah, I don't like it.
That's the number.
Like, I like it in Apex Legends in the practice mode because they do it in Apex Legends too. But I like it in the practice mode because it literally shows you this is the power of this gun. But in the actual live play, I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
I think it takes away from the immersion. Not that I want to actually imagine I'm in the wild necessarily and I'm shooting something and I don't need to see numbers. I want to play this.
But you know what though? Let me tell you something. One of my greatest memories of Far Cry 5. Me and my brother had just, I think, cleared an island or whatever, right? And it was this annoying mission. We was playing on hard where, you got to deal with this truck. I think it's called the Revelator. And after we were done, we was just, how you go in, you turn in whatever you're going to turn in and you get your economy straight. And we started chasing like these animals in the woods and literally for 20 to 30 minutes went on a hunting exit. Like it was just a cool down. We was just chilling, talking, hunting, and getting skins. Like we was really doing it.
Yeah.
What if numbers was popping off them animals? It wouldn't have felt the same, right? It wouldn't have felt the same. So hopefully there's a setting to take the numbers off, but the real problem with the numbers is, do you need the numbers?
Yes.
See, a game like Anthem is about the numbers. Destiny is about the numbers. You're trying to get that number as high as possible because the system of those games is basically You kill easy enemies, and then you come across an enemy that doesn't die in a couple of shots. And what you have to do is upgrade your character, and then they die the way they're supposed to. And it just keeps happening and stacking up and up. And you keep chasing loot, getting better guns until everything you come across is squishy. I don't know if I'm interested in that in Far Cry, but it could be amazing. I might love it. I will wait to play the game. I'll wait to see what people say, but I'm lukewarm until I see that they didn't ruin my precious, precious baby Far Cry, where I can go to shoot computer crazy people in the face whenever I want.
Whatever I want. Yeah, I would say I'm probably lukewarm on it too, but we'll see. I'm
But I
not.
want to be hot on it because I love
Yeah,
Far Cry.
I
I
like
want to be
Far Cry.
hot.
Yeah, I
I
love
want to be
it.
hot.
So I'm not. I'm not gonna. I definitely don't want it to be bad. So, um, all right. Next on Hot and Cold, we're talking about NBA 2K on PC. We never talk about 2K on PC. We never do. And the funny thing is, because I play it on PC a lot, right? I don't play the online modes on PC because, to be totally honest, the online scene on PC is just pretty dead as far as 2K. Like you go to the park and it might not even be full. Like, I mean, it's just literally it's like that, right? Not that I spend a lot of time at the park, but just period. I'm just saying this, it's like that. But for offline modes, it's no comparison. It's
Yeah.
50 million times better for all offline. So if you're a purely an offline 2K player, you should be playing it on PC. You should be. Like if you're one of them people that say, I don't even care about all that park pro am play now online stuff because I don't never play online. All I do is play offline. You don't even need to have it on console because you would enjoy it so much more on PC because it actually if you have a decent PC, it looks better, it moves better. I'm showing you some of the screens now from some of the videos right now on the screen from 2K on PC, and you see the difference in the visual fidelity, right? If you want to go mod style and modding, and sometimes you say mod to a person, they go, "Oh no, I don't." It's so much simpler than you think it is. And I'm not saying you actually creating the mods. I'm saying just partaking in some of the things from the modding community. Look at some of these screenshots, and I'm just giving you guys a preview of this now because we're gonna do like a complete reveal of this. I'm working on a roster, an Ultimate Legends roster. And just to let you know, 2K took my idea about the Ultimate Legends roster originally. I've actually even had somebody from 2K tell me that they piggybacked off what I had been doing on a custom roster for a long time. And so that was the reason why they put it in the game. I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying that's what happened. Um, so but I'm working on a roster because I still don't like the way they did the rosters because a lot of people on there shouldn't be there. I'm working on one, and I'm actually working with a modder who is making super realistic faces, and a couple of the ones you're seeing on screen there, he made those. So I'm gonna do like a full reveal of that.
What's his
But
name?
his name is Razor. Razor. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that.
Oh, it's all good.
Actually, it's on the screen too, though. So because the images are labeled. So yeah, he's pretty dynamic. Um, but yeah, man, I am super hot on NBA 2K on PC, especially like I said, if you have it in proper perspective and you play it only offline.
Yeah, I'm ice cold because I'm with you on all of what you said. But number one, I don't play anything on my PC that requires a controller.
Mm.
That's number one. So that will already, I don't even know how my controller works on the PC. I'm not. I ain't even going front. I play. In fact, my game's on screen right now. I got Rocksmith, Destiny, Fallout, Elite Dangerous, No Man's Sky, Overwatch, all flying and shooting out. No sports on here. But the main thing is really shout out to Rated Sim and Sim Nation and all the people I've played with and against. For me, the NBA 2K is about the community and playing with the community and the competitive side of it. And it's not that I don't enjoy the single player because I do. And I would love to be able to enjoy the single player more, but it's also connected that I couldn't see. It's just a time thing, right? It takes so long to build your My Career character, or in my case, characters. Um, and then you plan the games themselves, and then you take a little time aside to play some personal games, but that VC can still go to the other thing. Or if you want to start a My Team, same thing. To break off from something in a completely different ecosystem, there's a point. This happened to me with Guitar Hero, right? I had taken a break from playing real guitar. And
Mhm.
if you play the kind of guitar that I play, you have an advantage when you play Guitar Hero, right?
Yeah.
Um, and it got to the point where I was playing the expert songs on expert difficulty and it required me to practice. And while I'm practicing, I'm like, oh, I ain't gonna practice fake guitar when there's a real guitar across the room. We ain't gonna do that. That's dumb.
Right.
Right. And that got me back into guitar. It's a similar thing with the 2K where it's like once I'm 20 hours into a 2K game and my career character that I play with my friends with is sitting on 93, and if I just grinded those games out, I'd get him on 94 and he get double takeover. So that's why I'm cold. Not because it's bad, but this ain't on me. This is on 2K. Because if 2K had a better PC representation, if it wasn't so easy to break and cheat on PC, if they pushed PC more, I could start convincing my console friends to come over on PC. As it is, NBA 2K is the only reason I even have a PlayStation 4 anymore. If it wasn't for that game, I would wrap that up and put it in a closet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I am a person who prefers the offline experience. I do
Yeah.
play online, but offline is my preference. Like offline, the offline modes is what gets me to buy the system.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I don't know if all 2K was My Team and Pro Am and Park, I don't know that it would be an absolute must have for me.
Yeah.
You know, because it's all of those things and the My GM and the My League and that's what makes it like, yeah, I gotta have it. You know, so yeah, but yeah, I'm super hot fire for NBA 2K on PC. All right, I want to. I actually I should have talked to Nelson about this. This sometimes I go off on my own. I thought that this was like a good thing that we can do like each week because people love countdowns. I love countdowns. I love listicles. I love that kind of stuff. So I thought, and there's always a top something type of debate to have. There's always something like that, right? You can you can base it off what's happening in the world right now, anything, right? So I thought let's start off talking about our top 5 Lakers of all time. Now I'm pretty positive that our top 5 is going to be very different because
Yeah, probably.
um for the Lakers because Nelson likes he overrates some folk um in a major way in my opinion. So uh, I'm just saying
Well, the blasphemy was said on this show that you would take Ray Allen over Kobe Bryant in any situation,
I
just so the
would.
people are reminded about
I
what
would.
what the context of this discussion is going to be. Now, just for clarification, is this top 5 favorite or the top or the best players that ever wore a Laker uniform?
The best players. I mean, because I really like Derek Fisher, but I like Derek Fisher more than I like Kobe. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit up here and try to act like Derek Fisher was a better player than Kobe. That's insane. So,
Okay.
you know. So yeah, the top 5 players ever in in terms of their quality in Laker history. You can go first if you like.
Well,
I mean,
Kareem number 1.
okay,
Um, see number 2. I'm gonna say Magic.
okay.
I'm gonna say Magic number 2.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Kobe over Shaq at number 3.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm gonna qualify that a little bit because I think when they were together, Shaq was the overall most dominant factor.
Mhm.
But if I look at Shaq's career by itself and his career as a Laker, I mean, first of all, Kobe was there longer, so of course he's gonna do more in every category.
Right.
But while Shaq was there, the being out of shape, the all the years before Kobe like got to Kobe-ness, we talked about before with Jordan how the league was different when Kobe became Kobe. Like
Yeah.
he brought the league up, and obviously so did Iverson and a couple of other guys, but that was a significant thing. And I felt like Shaq could have been better as a Laker, and he coasted. And he says that he coasted. He coasted because of Kobe, and for that reason, I'm gonna give Kobe the edge over Shaq. And then Shaq would be after Kobe. And then after that, um, I mean, I'm not gonna. Okay, and here's another caveat. I'm not gonna talk about nobody that I wasn't alive to see play.
Mm.
So I'm not talking about Wilt Chamberlain or Jerry West because I didn't watch them play. I didn't know their game. Like I could easily put Wilt Chamberlain second or third theoretically. I mean, but at the bottom line is championships matter most in this situation. So if you won a whole bunch of championships with the Lakers and you won one or two, then you get pushed to the back of the line because you didn't get it done. But I didn't see Wilt play like an entire 2 basketball games beginning to end. You know, I seen like one game against the Knicks. So I'm not gonna pick him off of history books. I don't make lists off of that. That's a debate for a statistician who can talk about pace of play and the times he was, playing against a bunch of guys who, was serving drinks in their off time and then later on post merger. Yeah, well, did he even get into the post merger era, or he stopped before, right? He merged in
I think
'75. When did he retire?
73, 74, I think is his last season.
Yeah, so I ain't talking about nobody post merger because I was born in almost 1979. I was born at the very end of '78. So I'm not talking about nobody I never saw play. So then the last one,
72, 73 is his last year.
okay, and Kareem gave him that work anyway. But the last one for me, if I was to take one guy on my team all time that I've seen play, it would probably it's between James Worthy and Pau Gasol.
Mm.
It is tough because at his peak with the Lakers, Powell was a better defender, hit shots, hit free throws, turn over both shoulders, shut down Dwight Howard. But I'm gonna have to go with James Worthy on that one. I go with James Worthy.
Big
That's my
game, James.
list.
Big game, James.
That's my list.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna quote Giannis. That's a good pick. It's a good pick. But I'm gonna have to include some people from yesteryear. I cannot make a top five list of players from a franchise as storied as the Lakers and say I'm not gonna include people from yesteryear. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Like I can't ignore that history. I can't, right? Because I'm not necessarily comparing them to each other. Like, okay, if this guy was playing against this guy, would he be better? I'm more talking about the impact on the franchise and what they meant to that particular franchise. So their value to the franchise. And I do think that you can estimate that without having watched them play. I mean, you look at things like you said, championships, you look at things like tenure, you look at the way they dominated or were looked at in their time period during their time. So that's why I don't necessarily compare players to each other head to head. I compare their impact, so to speak. And I do think you can kind of gauge that to a degree.
You know what's funny? According to impact, the only thing that would change about my list is I would put Magic first, Kareem second, Kobe third, and then I would say I would put Jerry West on the list,
Mm-hmm.
but it's because of also what he did as a GM. We know that now, and we
Mm-hmm.
know how intrinsic to the Laker culture that he was.
Mm-hmm.
But I was picking on the basis of who would I pick if I want to win games,
Okay,
right?
yes, that's
And
definitely
and if
different.
if I picked a lineup of Kareem, Shaq, Kobe, Magic, and James Worthy, I'm like, throw me whoever you got.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what
I
I'm
definitely
saying?
that would definitely be different.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think it's a different context. My list is more about the greatest Lakers. So
yeah.
it's just who are the greatest Lakers, and because I think that our list probably would be more similar if you were thinking in the lines that I was thinking. Magic is my number one.
Yeah.
He is the number one. Absolutely, I think he's the
Which
greatest
by
Laker.
your criteria, we both agree.
Yeah, I think he's the greatest Laker of all time. My number two is actually Kobe.
Mhm.
I cannot ignore the tenure. I cannot ignore the 100% Laker, existence through that and out there. I mean, we got one of the longest careers in NBA history, and every single year is with this franchise.
Yeah.
The quality of every year, just about, sans the rookie year, the quality of every year is significant. The
Yep.
amount of things that he accomplished in the Laker uniform. I mean, you could take number 8 Kobe and number 24 Kobe and have two really, really
And
good
they
careers.
both might make the list.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I gotta give him that. The reason why Kareem is below him for me is because, now, if we were talking about just Kareem as an overall player, I would definitely have Kareem higher. I'd have Kareem higher than everybody on this list. But as a Laker, I think he falls to number 3 because Kareem's best years were with Milwaukee. He still had good, really, really great years with
That's how
the
great
Lakers.
he was.
Yeah,
That
that's how great he
even
was.
when he comes down, it's like LeBron. Like LeBron
Yes.
is not what he was in Miami and
No.
Cleveland, but he's still arguably the best player.
Yeah, he's
And
right in there.
that Kareem was like that as a big, where he was
Yes.
best big man in the league pretty much
Yes.
for most of
Yeah,
his time.
like we were talking about Wilt, and Wilt
Yeah.
once said, I was looking at an interview he did. He said when that guy came along, he was like, he was the first dude that came along, and I looked around and I looked at coaches and said, I need help,
Yeah.
and for Wilt Chamberlain to say, I need help
Well,
guarding
he
him.
right. He did need help.
Yeah,
You watched him play.
for him
Oh,
to
he need
say
help.
that,
Help Will. He need
yeah,
help.
for him to admit that,
Yeah.
that's some high praise. So, but as a Laker, I would put him third because of the quality of the guys who have played for the franchise. For me, fourth would be Shaq, and the only reason I put Shaq ahead of the person I have fifth is because of the championships. Um, Shaq could have probably been first or second on this list, but for some of the same reasons that you mentioned, coasting, having some less than desirable commitment to the franchise in certain years, I think hurts him on this list. But you still cannot deny the greatness.
One
You
thing I
know,
think that's not said a lot about Shaq is Shaq's time in LA was largely really, really ideal. Like
hmm
you talk about all-time great coach, played
hmm
with the second best shooting guard of all time as he approached his prime. And you talk about the rest of the roster, not slouches, man. Glenn Rice and Ron Harper and Horace Grant and Dennis Rodman and like Derek Fisher. Like he got surrounded. Like if Shaq had the mentality of like a Tim Duncan,
hmm
it'd have been ridiculous.
yeah, man, it would have been,
Yeah, and
it.
that's why I knock him down a little bit because
Yeah.
look, 3 out of 4 is not bad. Going to the finals, 4 times and getting 3, and how great the West was. They beat Tim Duncan. You know
hmm
what I'm saying? Like Tim Duncan and Pop. Like that's that. They had real competition to get to the finals that many times. It's
And
like
the
extraordinary.
Kings, man,
Kings very, very revolutionized the
Portland,
game,
Portland,
right?
yeah,
Revolutionized the game, and a lot of talent out west when that was happening. And Utah was
yeah,
out there, right?
yeah,
They were still trying to do it.
yeah.
So but I do knock him down because he could have been better. And it was 3 championships, but it could have been more.
It could have been more. It definitely could have been more. And my number 5 is Jerry West.
Jerry West, yeah.
Jerry West, I mean, he might be the longest tenured Laker, even more than Kobe. I don't know if Kobe might have passed him. But
Yeah. I
I,
think
I have
Kobe's the
him only
longest.
fifth because of the lack of championships when compared to everybody else. But I gotta put him on this list ahead of Wilt Chamberlain because just like Kareem, Wilt's best years were not with the Lakers.
Right.
Wilt was an older player when he got to the Lakers. He was still very good, but he was not the same guy. I mean, Wilt didn't get to the Lakers until he was 32 years old. And he only played the last 5 years of his career with the Lakers. And the Lakers were the only team that he played for where he almost lost an entire season to injury. So 69, 70 years season, he only played 12 games, so he was hurt like almost that whole season. But the crazy thing about Wilt was 36 years old last season. He played 72-73 season. He led the league in rebounding, led the league in field goal percentage. He averaged 13 points and 18.6 rebounds a game. No telling how many blocks, because they weren't even keeping block shots as an official statistic then. But that was as a 36-year-old big, right? That's crazy, you know. But like I said, he first of all, he only played 5 years with the Lakers. So everybody else on this list played a good amount of time. Like, I would say much more. What did Shaq play? Like 8 years with the Lakers, maybe? It
Yeah, he was
feels
up
like
on that. Yeah.
something to that effect, right? So from a tenure standpoint, he just wasn't there, nearly as long as those other guys. So that's the reason why I don't have him there. But West, I mean, and the other thing is, West is the logo.
Yeah. I mean,
He's the logo. So even though I've all long said that the logo should be changed to Michael Jordan, but
I agree.
you can't do that without insulting Jerry West. So why would you
And
insult Jerry West?
also, you know what? I will say this. As big of an impact as Mike had as a player, Jerry West, if you combine him as a player and a GM, I think has had a bigger hand overall, because he has been basically dominating the NBA for like 60 years or something ridiculous.
Yeah,
Like,
he's had a
it's a
significant
lot.
presence, I would
Like,
say.
it's a lot. It's a lot. He's done a lot. And also, let's just be honest. And we didn't really, this ain't on the list to talk about, but they asked Michael Jordan, I'm sure you saw this. What was more significant?
Yeah,
Westbrook's triple double
I
streak
loved it.
breaking Wilts, and James Harden with the 30 in a row, right? We don't care about that on this show. That was more significant. That's a dumb question. But the answer that Mike gave, what do I think is hardest as a player?
Yeah,
6 championships.
yes.
Ain't nobody ask you about your championships. Why is he still so petty? And
No,
Mazique, Michael Jordan is my favorite player of all time. All right? That's harder for me as a Knicks fan than it is for you as a kid from Chicago. It's more difficult. And I love him anyway. What's wrong with him? Why can't you just be happy and let other people have nice things?
yeah. You know what? I did not have and I'm usually the one that's critical of Mike, right? But I did not have a problem with that. I thought it was
I ain't say I had a problem. I said, what's wrong with you?
I think it was dope. I thought it was
Why?
awesome.
Ain't nobody ask him that.
But it was dope because it was like, who has the right to say something like that? Him. He's the one that has the right to say something like that. Like, he can say that.
A
You
lot
know
of
what I
people
mean?
say a lot of things.
Like,
Answer the
not,
question.
I mean, his whole thing was, well, first of all, Russell Westbrook broke his record with the straight triple doubles. So that's him
He got
still,
3 triple doubles ago.
huh?
3 triple
Yeah,
doubles ago.
but that's him still.
Ain't nobody in league history competing with Russ in triple doubles. Y'all can all let that go. Big O, you sit down too. It's over.
It's over.
It's over.
Right. But the thing of it is it could be over, but he ain't got no championships yet.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. No one has ever said Russell Westbrook is better than Michael Jordan,
But
and
I understand. I
and he
understand.
pays Westbrook a check for wearing his sneakers.
Yes, yes. But
You pay this man
I
to sell
love
your
it. I
shoes.
love it because you can't turn it off. When you are a competitor like him, and that's the reason why he was as great as he was. Yes, he was a great athlete. Yes, he was a skilled guy and all that. But Mike was a maniacal
I know the
competitor.
most maniacal. In fact, that's why all of the and you thought Hakeem was as good as Michael Jordan,
No, I
but
didn't. Oh my God.
they
You
all
see
heard
how
you on
you
the show.
twist?
They all heard you.
That is not what I
They
said.
all
I
heard you.
said that the gap between
You said he
Mike
was
and
close.
Hakeem was not as
Close
big
is
as,
just as wrong
no,
as better.
no. I did not say
That's
close.
because of what
I
you
did
said.
not say
Close.
close.
Get the tapes.
No,
Y'all
I
see the
did
tapes.
not
And hit
say
me up in the comment
close.
section if y'all
I
can find that clip.
never said close. I said, and you know what? The beauty of editing is that this clip, exactly what I said, will be injected right here.
But you gonna put poor portion of work proving you wrong.
You
Watch,
doggone right.
y'all gonna see
That's
a
right.
cut. He gonna lip sync. You gonna see Mazique's lips moving in one way. He gonna change his words. Y'all watch the old YouTube video.
No, the old YouTube video is here.
The thing is, but the difference between him and Kevin Durant is relatively small compared to the difference between Michael Jordan and whoever you think was the second best player at that time. Hakeem, Charles Barkley, I don't care. I don't care who you want to say. It's not even close. So I don't think it's close. I don't even think it's the same universe. Whereas there's certain teams.
I don't think the gap between Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon was as large as you make it appear to be. Hakeem was just a different dude. And I think that you can look at statistics. You can look at his impact on his teammates. You can look at a lot of things. But Hakeem Olajuwon was the second best player in that era. And I think that Michael was a better player, for sure. But I don't think that the gap was 2 days long as you made it appear. So in telling you, I said the gap between Mike and Olajuwon is not as big as everybody says. It was not as big as you were saying. Hakeem Olajuwon
my barometer was that the gap between Michael and the next best player was bigger than the gap between LeBron and KD or Giannis or whoever you want to throw up.
Oh, now that's true. That's
true. Now you agree with me.
That's true. No, that's true. That's a different wording. That's true. It is bigger. It is bigger. Because it was not, because Mike it wasn't even arguable.
No,
he was the best player. He was the best player.
And my point was second best wasn't a threat.
I would agree with that. It wasn't
like he coming up on his heels. No, it was when Mike finished eating, then y'all eat. LeBron gotta keep his eye on his plate, or there's a couple of strips of bacon that Giannis might be eating. KD might take his mashed potatoes if he don't hold his plate tight and high. Mike could leave his plate on the table, go outside, mow the lawn, throw the football with the kids, come back. Every calorie is still on that plate. Ain't nobody taking a morsel off of Michael Jordan's plate while he was in his prime. And so all your arguments about Hakeem make it sound like that what I said ain't right. You was arguing to argue.
Well, here's the thing. You can't even say that because they never played each other head to head in the finals.
You know why? They was in the same league. Why didn't they play each other head to head? Because the people that Michael Jordan beat down in the finals, Hakeem couldn't even get not once.
The Rockets team hit their stride. Happened to hit their stride when Mike left.
Yeah, he got in twice while Mike was asleep. Mike was out playing.
I mean, believe you me, we had many of discussions in Chicago about whether or not our Bulls teams would have beat those two Rockets teams.
I hope those were short discussions.
I mean, here's the thing. Hakeem was the best big man in the league. They had the Rockets. I believe the Bulls would have won.
Of course they would.
But the Bulls the Rockets did have higher basketball IQ across the floor than the teams that the Bulls beat in terms of teams with a dominant big.
I'm gonna close it like this. You talk about how competitive Michael Jordan was. Mm-hmm. That Clyde Drexler year, Michael Jordan would rather die slowly of something very painful. Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah, let Clyde beat him. That would have been, oh my God.
I mean, dunking on Jeff Hornacek and John Stockton, he's like, yeah, we're fine. You saw Clyde on the other side suiting up. He might have averaged 45 points a game.
Yeah, I mean,
55%.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying that Rockets team was a different challenge for the Bulls than some of those other teams, the other teams that we beat. They would have been a different challenge because of the length across. Robert Horry they had some different challenges there. So it would have been I would have loved to have seen it.
I would have loved to have seen it. I would have loved to have seen the Bulls beat that team too.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to see him beat them. Believe me, I would have loved to see him win. I'm just saying that from a basketball standpoint.
But here's the thing, though. You were there, man. I felt it was extremely clear that nobody won taking no championships from Michael Jordan after he won. After the second one,
but we didn't feel like that.
It was it's because y'all's home team. I'm telling you, in the rest of America, it was just Gatorade commercial playing until he went to the Wizards. All right.
See, I don't see. I think that's the way people look at it when they're, like you said, it's not their team, because when it's not your team, you like. I put it
When it's
like
not,
this.
so you're
I'm
saying
pretty sure
hometown fans are more objective?
No,
That's a new perspective.
I think we worry more.
Yes, you do. Yes, and that is
You
my
worry
point.
more
Oh,
because
we agree on the same thing.
yeah, it's kind of like with the Patriots, right? Everybody just looks at it and goes, "Oh God, yeah, they're gonna win." But Patriot fans are analyzing every possible weakness that their team has every
Yeah.
year, and so that and we see what their weaknesses are because we watch every single play every single time, and we see what things gives our team problems. But on the outside, all you keep seeing is just championships and banners getting put up,
It's
but you
so
don't
amazing that you
don't
can
see the
apply
struggle.
that to Michael Jordan, but when it comes to Derrick Rose, you just
What are you talking about?
can't see
I don't
it.
know what you're
You
talking about.
can't see the truth.
I
I
don't know
know
what
you
you're talking
don't. I know
I have
you
no
don't.
idea what you're talking
But
about.
we have a show to close out.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You, in a roundabout kind way, you just told the audience exactly how and why Chicago fans is delusional, and I appreciate that.
Oh, now you know what? I will 100% agree with you that Chicago fans are perhaps the most delusional fan base in the world. People in Chicago
Now with the Dallas Cowboys existing.
Oh my God, man! People in Chicago overvalue every single trade piece the Bulls have. You should see some of the stuff you see on Bulls forums in terms of trades that people have concocted.
I can imagine.
They'll be like, "Hey, you should trade Jabari Parker for DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry." I like Jabari for that they would. I'm like, dude, it's a trade. Like both teams have to like it. Like this ain't 2K with trade override turned on.
Just do whatever you want.
Just do it. I'm like, it's crazy. But anyway, we got to get to what you had on your mind, which I'm quite sure is some sort of horrible thing. It's blasphemous or something. I'm sure it's something like that. But I'm braced. So
I'm gonna make you feel real bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're gonna tell me.
I accept your apology in advance.
Okay.
Activision Blizzard just laid off 800 employees.
Yeah, that's bad.
And they're reporting. I mean, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but they're a highly profitable company. They're not a company that's cutting because they're struggling. The reason they're cutting is because they're trying to maximize the back end profits, right? They're basically judging that if we cut 800 people who don't really make that much money, we can give our new CEO a bonus of $15 million. And for people who think that just because you work on a video game, you're rich, you're not. There's people making 70 grand a year. Just some people making 50 grand a year. There's people working on those games that barely crack 100, and they're one of the few people on the planet Earth that could do their job. And the product that they made some odd hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're only making this much money. And the CEO that they paid, he just started working there. He didn't even build this. So there's people who literally work day and night, and we know developers, man. Some of these guys and girls, they work 14-hour days for months at a time, especially when the game is about to be released and that crunch time comes and they have to work out the bugs and it's going gold. It's the highest stress, highest demand on performance that you can get. And they let all these people go, 800 people, a significant number. Now, a lot of them are going to be fine because there's a lot of talented folks in there. But I bring the rant part of this is not that corporations are doing corporate things, right?
Right.
I'm not here to tell EA how to make money. I could tell them how to make a Star Wars game, but I ain't gonna tell them how to make money. My beef is really with the fans. Now, as fans, I don't expect people to understand these predicaments, but my thing is just try a little bit, because I'm seeing stuff like this is how nonsensical I'm seeing stuff. I don't like the way the CEO and the shareholders are treating the developers. So I'm going to boycott the developers' work so that what the developers make don't make no money and more developers get fired. But I think in a roundabout way, this hurts the shareholders and CEOs. I got some dark news for y'all. Shareholders and CEOs are the last people to feel the pain. Anything you do, any action you take, any boycott you feeling, The shareholders and CEOs only feel it after people making much, much, much less money than they are feel it 10 times over. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
because
the
they're gonna throw
people,
them out there first.
I want, if y'all play sports games, I want y'all to zoom in on whatever sports game you playing. Doesn't matter which one it is. Zoom in. And when you zoom in, you're going to see the little stitching in the uniforms. You're going to see the threading. Somebody stayed up all night making sure that happened, making sure that it didn't look funny, making sure the lighting hit it right, tweaking it, because when you did it, it looked good up until this point, and then once they put it over here, it looked funny. It looked too shiny. So they went back and fixed it again. That person is the person that you hurt. The person staying up all night so that the details that you need in order to buy the game and forget as soon as something pisses you off, that person is who you're hurting. If a game is good, support a good game. Because when you support a good game, you're supporting a creator. You can't boycott EA because, quite frankly, they're too big to boycott. They're just too big to boycott. Sometimes, as a gamer, you have to accept the L on that. Now, here's the thing, and I say they're too big to boycott for this reason. You could say you boycott an EA, you ain't buying no EA products. But if EA makes good games, they're gonna sell those games. So all you doing is changing the numbers on from when they do good and when they do bad. And what it comes down to is shareholders and people at the top don't know the difference between a good product and a bad product. This is true in
They
almost
know a
every
profitable product and a non-profitable.
Exactly. So what you guys support with your wallets, more of that will happen. What you guys don't support, less of that will happen. So if you don't like loot boxes, don't put money into it. If you
Yeah.
don't like microtransactions, don't put money into it. But if
Yeah.
they may if thousands of hardworking developers and administrative and marketing folks come together to put together a beautiful product and you don't support that product, that may never exist again.
Yeah.
And the shareholders are just going to move on to the next. They're just going to try and make another Fortnite.
Yeah.
Another castle. I don't even know what it's called. Crashers or whatever.
Right.
Candy. I don't play them games that, people play in Starbucks. I don't know what that is. It's like consoles and PC. But point being, they're just going to chase the money.
Yes.
So your vote is when you support what you love, and the reason you love it is because developers loved it, and you have something in common with them. Even though they develop games and you play games and might have a different career, the common ground you have is that game that you love, and support that, and the gaming industry will repair all these other problems. But boycotting something because EA made you mad is nonsensical, because EA is not a person in a suit and tie and an EA logo for a face. It is a complex tapestry of corporate nonsense that, lucky for us, instead of polluting the environment or making conflict diamonds or making pharmaceuticals that actually poison you instead of heal you, they make video games. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Right? So as even EA on its worst day is still a bunch of people who love video games making video games.
Yeah.
And a lot of times either they make mistakes or they're forced to make mistakes. And the best thing you can do to keep those mistakes from happening over and over is reward them when they don't make a mistake. But boycotting EA is a fantasy you have in your brain that you, as very likely a person who's nowhere near as rich as the lowest paid person, that has VP next to their name at EA,
Yeah.
you think you can affect their life, and you cannot.
Yeah.
But you
And,
can
and,
affect the
and,
lives of the developers.
and the thing of it is man, it's really it just shows people don't have things in the proper perspective, because a lot of times people want to they like, I have not seen the reason yet for boycotting a video game. Like, I haven't seen the issue that is so egregious that boycotting an entire game was what you should do. Like, if I'm going to boycott a video game, it's gonna have to be because the CEO said, I will not employ any African Americans. I will not employ any women.
Right.
You know, just something crazy, right? You know, something has to be. I'm not boycotting a game because you guys keep doing. You guys keep
And
putting.
even with that, right? Like that's just let's get this guy fired.
Yeah, like
That's the goal.
until like or something. Or if you tell me I'm not firing this guy because my point being is I think people and I guess this is kind of sounds crazy coming from somebody who makes their living on video games partially. I think people just take games too serious, man. Like the whole
honestly, we live in anger culture.
yes.
People want to be angry about something. I
About
think people ain't getting into enough fights, man. Like I don't know what it is. Like people need to go outside, throw on some boxing gloves and get into a fight and then come back a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
Because you again, this situation right here that cracks me up is your problem is the way that they're treating their staff, but you're doing something that's going to make them treat their staff worse. That's it.
It doesn't make any sense. Well, I think so often we protest without protest without proper guidance.
Yeah.
Because like, there's been a lot of protests, really high profile protests that we've seen across several different industries that when I step back and I look at it and go, okay, I have a problem with the same thing you have a problem with, but what you're doing to me doesn't really fix your problem. If anything, it creates another one. And so I think that's a lot of times kind of what ends up happening.
Yeah. And in this case, the solution that you're looking for is to support a good product. And when I say, boy, don't buy something you don't like.
Yeah. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It don't mean that you hate it. Common. Yeah, you didn't get that. You didn't get that. Yeah.
Nah, I don't know what you're talking about. But
it's a common
Chicago thing.
It's a really dope line.
It is a Chicago thing.
It's a really dope line because it applies to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Just because I don't like something and I say I don't like it, I'm not hating on it.
Right.
I'm not hating it or hating on the person who does it. I don't like it. So I'm not gonna do it. And that's exactly what you're saying. So I'm not trying to tear EA down. I'm not trying to tear 2K down. But this particular product that they're offering, I don't like it.
Right.
So I'm not buying it. And it doesn't have to be any anger involved. It's just me not putting my money someplace that I don't value what's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just all it is, So, well, that's all we got for today's At Me Bro show. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. I enjoyed being here. I know Nelson enjoyed it because he got a chance to talk to me. So, I mean, what more could you ask for?
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We always appreciate you guys' support. Follow both Mazique, myself, and the official At Me Bro on Twitter. And don't forget to send us those questions for Ask Us Bro, which you guys will also find on this channel.
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, we're going to do that right now, but not right now for you, but you get what I'm saying.
For us.
I appreciate you guys watching as always. God bless and peace.